The Las Vegas Grand Prix delivered thrilling on-track action, but it was marred by a defining moment during FP1 that cast a shadow over the entire event. As the checkered flag waved and the racing world sought the respite of a well-deserved night's sleep, a storm was brewing. An inquiry into the FIA's regrettable decisions unfolded, placing them squarely under the scrutiny of fans, teams, and the global audience. Throughout the weekend, the sport's governing body's handling of various incidents had infuriated fans and team members alike, igniting a passionate demand for accountability and a call for higher standards in the world of Formula One. In this video, you'll discover how the decisions the FIA made at the Las Vegas Grand Prix added to the ever-growing pressure they face. This started with the outrage caused by the forceful removal of fans from the grandstands before FP2 on Thursday, as the team that created the track filled 30 manholes on the course with sand and cement. The stopper repeated the incident that caused millions of dollars of damage to the Ferrari Carlos Sainz was driving. Carlos then had to change the battery in his car due to the damage, which took him over his allowance for the year, which meant the stewards handed him a 10-place grid penalty. I'll talk about the backlash over that decision later though. First, let's focus on the Lap 1 Turn 1 incident between world champion Max Verstappen and Charles Leclerc. Sadly for Charles, this was the 12th pole position in a row that he's failed to convert to a race win, a record that goes back to the Australian GP in 2022. Of his total of 23 pole positions in F1, only 4 have been converted to race wins. In contrast, Max has claimed victory in 11 of the 23 races where Charles started from the front row of the grid. With the stats against him and the most dominant driver and car combo in F1 history alongside him on the grid, it's no great surprise that Leclerc lost this race to Verstappen, despite taking pole position. But Red Bull's triple world champion was yet again in the eye of the storm on Sunday. Rivals said his 5-second first corner penalty for forcing Ferrari's Charles Leclerc off the track at the first corner was meaningless when he had a car so much faster than the rest. Max went wide at the first corner, leaving the track limits and forcing Leclerc, who was outside of him, to go even wider. It was a smart move from Max. He knew he could brake late because even if he did fail to slow down for the apex, as he did, he knew that if the FIA were to penalise him, it would just be a 5-second time penalty, and with the Lap 1 Turn 1 incidents being viewed very kindly by the stewards, he may not even have received that. Getting ahead of Leclerc was the most important thing for him at that point in the race, and considering his average winning margin is well over 10 seconds, a 5-second penalty would have made no difference in the end. After saying that the penalty was the right call, Max was asked if handing the position back to Leclerc crossed his mind. "I think we opted to just stay ahead at that point," the 3-time world champion explained. His race engineer told him to stay ahead during the race. "So then you take the 5-second penalty. I don't know what's better at the end. I mean, I paid the penalty right, so it doesn't matter in a way, you know. If you go back behind, you probably also end up losing 5 seconds. It's pretty similar." At the start of the season, the teams were told that the FIA would not be telling cars to give positions back that had been taken by going off track or forcing an opponent off track. Instead, they either had to do it themselves or get a 5-second penalty. For the first few races of the season, most teams were telling their drivers to give places back if they thought they would get a penalty for not doing so. Quite quickly though, they realised that a 5-second penalty is basically nothing, especially if you expect to be faster than the car you've just overtaken. George Russell cutting the first corner at Monza comes to mind when he got a place off Esteban Ocon by just ignoring the first chicane. After getting a 5-second penalty for that move, he said that the punishment was nowhere near harsh enough, and that he did it on purpose because he knew the time penalty would mean nothing in the long run. It was not just Max's penalty that the FIA were being questioned over though. While the much heralded race on the Las Vegas Strip lived up to the enormous hype on race day, it was not before a misfiring start when a loose water valve cover wrecked Carlos Sainz's Ferrari in Friday's first practice. Sucked out of the ground at 180 miles per hour, it caused $2 million of damage, and part changes that meant a 10-place grid penalty ruined his race as badly as his car. There was no mechanism for Ferrari to escape punishment, despite being blameless as ruthless rivals stopped the stewards trying to let them off. Even Verstappen called on the FIA to flex its judicial muscle and elbow the teams out of the decision-making process when they have vested interests. It's very harsh on Carlos, but in this political environment, of course every team thinks about themselves and they're going to say no, he has to take the penalty. The talk around the paddock after it was revealed that Carlos would get a grid penalty was that one team had stopped the grid penalty from being waived. Sky F1 commentator David Croft said that as per his information, one team had rejected the chance for the stewards to explore this route, with strong hints made that Mercedes, who are battling Ferrari for P2 in the Constructors' Championship, were the team in question. The difference between second and third place in the Constructors' Championship is thought to be about $30 million, and if Carlos had started on the front row instead of in 12th, Ferrari would probably now be ahead of Mercedes. 2009 world champion Jenson Button and Karen Chandhok, both on Sky punditry duties, said teams should have agreed to special dispensation for Sainz and Ferrari. The thing that I don't get, I know that it's a regulation, but I mean, could not all the teams agree that they should get a pass? Button asked. Chandhok replied, I agree, it's ridiculous. The fact that Carlos was penalised for something that was clearly the event's fault was stupid enough already. With the repair bill to the car totaling $2 million though, Ferrari have a bigger problem. In the cost cap era, that $2 million is coming straight out of the team's budget. This season, teams are allowed to spend $138.6 million. That loose water valve cover cost Ferrari 1.44% of their budget. That is $2 million worth of development funds for a vital winter push before next season, when they want to be in a title fight with Red Bull. Team principal Fred Vasseur confirmed after the Las Vegas Grand Prix that Ferrari are seeking a settlement with the event's stakeholders. This will be a private discussion that I will have with the stakeholders of this event, Vasseur said. There is no provision into the budget or cost cap for excluding the crashes. For sure, you have a lot of extra costs. The loom was damaged, the gearbox was damaged, the battery was damaged, the engine is dead. We have a lot of consequences on the financial side, on the sporting side, and even on the stock of spare parts. And on the budget side, for sure it's not an easy one. But it's not just the price of Sainz's crash that Vasseur was to discuss. The team boss is also angry that the marshals took 1 minute to change the yellow flag to a red when they'd already seen metal debris on the track. We'd have to discuss about the circumstances of the incident also, he said. Because it's not just about the cover coming out, it's also for me that we had 1 minute between the yellow flag and the red flag. It means that when they put the yellow flag, that they saw something on track, and they took 1 minute before they put the red flag. I think it's too much. This incident will be looked over throughout the week, but there is nothing in the rules that would allow Ferrari to get $2 million added to their budget cap. Any ruling made would have to set a new precedent, and that's always much harder than pointing to one that has already been set. Ferrari may get their $2 million back in a settlement, but they won't be able to spend a penny of that on the car. With the season finale halfway around the world and just 7 days after the Las Vegas Grand Prix, Ferrari will have to work hard to make sure that Carlos's car is safe and race ready if they want to take that second place spot in the Constructors' Championship from Mercedes. The turnaround time and the distance between the two races has also come under fire from the teams. The event timetable for Las Vegas was later than any in the history of the sport, both to shift local road closures to later in the day and to accommodate TV viewers in Europe. The cars not leaving the track till 4 AM during FP2 made it even more brutal for the teams. After the race, the teams had to quickly break down everything and get it shipped to Abu Dhabi for the season's final race. Next year, the challenge will be even greater, with Las Vegas the start of a triple header that leads to Qatar and Abu Dhabi. Team bosses acknowledged that while overall the event was a success, the schedule had been too hard on personnel. Red Bull's Christian Horner made it clear how hard the schedule had been for team members. As a first off, of course, there are going to be many lessons to learn, he said. One of the things to look at is the running schedule, because it has been brutal for the team and all the men and women behind the scenes. Everybody is leaving Vegas slightly effed. One way or another, it's been a brutal weekend for everyone behind the scenes, and I think we need to look at how we can improve that for the future. Almost every driver and team boss said something very similar. While the late time may have made things easier logistically for the city of Las Vegas, for fans at the race and around the world, the timing just didn't work. The grandstands were not full over the weekend, and a large part of the blame for that has to be on the pricing. But FP2 and qualifying starting at midnight local time is not friendly to spectators or to the US TV audience. What did you think of the Las Vegas Grand Prix? And do you think the teams are right to demand change from the FIA? Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below, and if you want more F1 news and analysis like this, then make sure to subscribe. Until next time, drive safe and bye for now.